Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Food, understanding food cravings and healthy ways to combat them. If you're craving chocolate every afternoon, there's a reason. Dr. Akua is going to discuss the anthropology and brain science that causes cravings and how to reset them through good nutrition. You can watch a recording of this event and all previous events on our team member resources page. I'll drop the link in the chat for you to get to easily. While you're there, be sure to check out and register for our Let's Talk Food Eat the Rainbow coming up in October with Dr. Akua also. For those of you joining us for the first time at Let's Talk Food, welcome. And for those of you coming back to a second, third, fourth, or 10th session, welcome back. As the name suggests, Let's Talk Food. It's just that, a fun chat with Dr. Akua. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, be sure to ask them in the chat in all caps so we can see them easily, or by using the Q&A feature. And now, without further ado, I present Dr. Akua Woolbright, our Director of Nutrition Education.
Thank you, David. And hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you guys have come for this talk today. So I hope that you will go look at some of the other talks because I think there's a lot of fun information that's coming through. And I love hearing from you guys as well. So please, give your impressions and your questions in the chat, as David mentioned. I love the interaction. Now, a little warning about today's talk. I'm going to suggest that you put your seatbelts on and buckle up. There's a lot of information coming at you fast because we're talking about the biological mechanisms behind food cravings. So this will be a little more wordy than other presentations and maybe a little bit more detailed or scientific. So maybe grab a pen and paper and let's get started because I want to leave some time at the end for your questions. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. And I want to see if it would let me. Well, I don't think it's going to let me do the whole slide presentation, so I'm going to do it this way.
Dr. Akua, if you select the on the bottom right next, just left of the minus sign, that should be the percent. Over on the right, over some more, just next to the negative or the minus sign.
Okay.
To the right.
Right here?
Right, yes.
Oh, right there. Oh, thank you, David. Okay, so we're getting to why dieting and willpower won't work. And I always start out with that title because I think it helps you to not feel like all of this is your fault if you're struggling with food cravings. There are some biological mechanisms behind why we crave certain foods. So this will get into some of that for you today. And I will just start out by saying we all know that there is an epidemic of overweight and obesity in our country. More and more Americans are really struggling with weight issues. And I think part of that is because we have access to food 24 hours a day. I often talk about growing up on a farm. And when you grow up on a farm like I did, you eat off the land and you have to prepare your meals from scratch. And so it slows down how you eat and what you eat. But when you can go to the gas station or the convenience store around the clock, it makes curbing your appetite and your cravings all that much harder. So as of today, 2/3 of Americans deal with overeating, and as a result, they are overweight and obese. We also see this trend with our children. We have 70% of Americans' children aged 2 to 19 are obese, and 12 million children are overweight. That means 34% of all children are dealing with either overweight or obesity issues. But I like to show this slide because we don't want to pick on particular groups, right? As an African-American nutritionist, we oftentimes hear so much focus being placed on minorities or people of color, being the ones that are struggling with chronic disease and issues of overweight and obesity. But we know these issues really affect all of us. We can see this across our country. And I want to give a caution to people who are thin or who are athletic, because sometimes they have a false sense of confidence. And what I hear so many times is, you know what, I'll just eat what I want to eat and I'll work it off later. And we may look thin on the outside, But we have to be mindful about what's happening to our systems and our organs. So if you're eating donuts, cake, white pasta, and that's really what you're basing your meal on, and you think you'll just work it out off later, you may be setting yourself up for chronic disease in the future. Also, I find a lot of people who may appear to be physically in shape are still thinking about food around the clock. They're still thinking about that movie popcorn or that concession stand hot dog. So none of us really escape the issues of food addiction or strong food cravings. So I don't want to leave anyone out. I want to make sure that we all know that these are things we all should be concerned about. And I think we do know that if I were to ask you right now, if you were going to try to treat your favorite relative using food as their medicine, would you choose the apple or the burger? Would you choose the grapes or the Snickers, the fresh water or the sweet Texas iced tea? We know which choices would lead to optimal health, yet it's still so hard to make those optimal choices every day. And the question here is, why are we so confused about what to eat? Why is it such a challenge? And I will get into now why our food seems to have a hold on us. And that goes back first to our survival mechanisms. The things we need to survive as a species are meant to be good to us. We're meant to enjoy those things we need for our survival. And two of the main things we need to survive as a species, generation after generation, is procreation and food. We have to produce more humans and we have to eat to stay alive. So sex and food are meant to be delicious, right? And so it's not your fault that you want to eat food that's delicious. It's no surprise that dieting on celery sticks and carrot sticks won't last very long, because you're going to want to eat food that not only nourish your cells, but also feels good and wakes up that dopamine and that serotonin. We're supposed to enjoy the food that we eat. So we have to look into our history as human beings. If you look into our ancient ancestors, eating healthy food and enjoying food was much simpler. Why? Because if our ancient ancestors went outside to their natural environment to look for dinner, they were choosing between the banana, well, maybe not the cucumber. I probably need to change this photo. I'm not sure if cucumbers were in our natural habitat thousands of years ago, but you get the point. They were choosing between, let's say, the banana and the cucumber, or a bunch of bananas and a bunch of berries. Now let's think about that for a second. If you were trying to go out into your natural habitat and get back to your dwelling before you became the food, because there were wild animals that were trying to eat us as well, right? Would you think it's more economical and efficient to grab an armful of bananas to feed your family? Or maybe you open your clothing up, or you have some type of bowl or sack, and you're trying to fill your arms, your hands, or your whatever tool you have with a bunch of berries. Which option will satisfy your family more, the berries or the banana? And I would argue the banana, because think about how many bananas can you eat before you're over it? Bananas are high in calories. One banana is about 80 to 90 calories, and it's sweet and it's starchy. It's going to fill you up faster. And that kind of takes us to looking at our natural food choices. That banana will fill you up faster. And so then you will remember that that was the economical choice. That was the smart choice. But now today's caveman, let's just say that in Los Angeles or Oakland, California, somewhere there was some big slab of ice still existing. And the caveman finally, because of global warming, saw that the ice was melting. He could chip his way out of the ice. He would look around and notice that his natural environment was drastically different than what he was used to. He would no longer be choosing between the bananas and the berries. Now he's choosing between Little Caesar's Pizza, Popeyes, McDonald's, and Burger King. So your natural biological mechanisms are still hardwired for you to choose foods that are high in calories. But you're no longer choosing between the banana, honey, honeycomb, ripe peaches, mango, and berries. You're now choosing between your favorite fast food restaurant. I like to call these food fake food stuff. So while your ancient DNA has not changed, your food landscape has. So this is why I say it's not totally your fault, because you are doing what your biology is telling you to do. Seek out high calorie, sweet food. But when you look around your natural environment, the food choices have changed. And so this is where you're having to have willpower and focus to try to move past the fast food restaurant choices. But I think if we can learn how our biology works, it can help us to feel more empowered. It places us in the driver's seat. And so now when we have these cravings, we can pause and think about it and go, you know what? I may think I'm craving the apple pie from McDonald's, but really, I've skipped 3 meals today and I'm just hungry. I'm craving calories. And maybe that allows you to go get the sweet potato and the pinto beans instead. Let's talk about that more. So, just as an example, when you look at foods that are in our natural environment, you know, the cucumber, the banana, you see that they are lower in calories than the burger or the chocolate chip cookie. So why am I telling you that? Well, when our ancient ancestors were looking for high calorie foods, it would have been the banana at 89 calories. Now, when we have those cravings and we're looking for high calorie foods, we have jumped up to the 454 calorie chocolate chip cookies. There's such a gap between the high calorie foods that come from the earth and those that are man-made. So you can start to see why we're so out of balance with our eating. When you look at the man-made high calorie foods, like a burger, chocolate chip cookies, maybe I'll pick on the bacon and the pizza and the soda. You start to see a trend here. These foods are double, triple, quadruple, or more in calories, but they contain very few nutrients. How many vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients are you going to find in the chocolate chip cookies? Let's be real about it. So this is what I mean in some of my other classes when I say we're overfed and undernourished, or we are eating a lot of empty calories. When you're starting your day out with a donut and a Starbucks sugary coffee, you have consumed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calories, but very few nutrients that can actually nourish, heal, and repair your systems, organs, cells, and DNA. So basically, what I'm telling you is we are out of balance. So as a recap, we are biologically programmed to seek out high calorie foods, but we're no longer choosing those foods from nature, from the earth. We're choosing man-made products that are empty calories, but filled with calories and very few nutrients, those empty calories. So here's some examples. Again, look at the man-made foods on the top, the candy bar, the soda, those will contain 500 calories. You go get gas, you run in real quick, you grab a candy bar and a soda, you're not thinking much of it. You're not really thinking that you really ate much that day. I hear people tell me all the time, well, I don't really eat a lot. But when I do their food diary, I see that they're eating a lot of small things that are really filled with excess calories. But you could also eat 72 cups of spinach for your 500 calories. Now, I don't really want you to eat 72 cups of spinach, but it gets to the point across that when we're filling up on green and colorful vegetables, fruit, whole grains, beans, peas, lentils, these foods will get us full and nourished at the same time. And you're cutting back on your calories. So imagine that you can eat whatever you want to eat all day, every day, and not gain weight. That's what happens when you really start to eat from the earth and avoid the man-made convenience, fast foods as much as possible. So here's a recap. We're hardwired to enjoy things like eating. This ensures our survival. Because think about our ancient ancestors. They had to be willing to go out and do labor-intensive work to eat every day. So there had to be a mechanism that would propel them to do that. So yes, hunger is a great motivator to eat, but taste and enjoyment will actually ensure that our ancestors would eat and eat every day. We're also biologically programmed to feel hungry and to eat. So you're not supposed to be starving yourself on these crazy diets. We are programmed to eat, and we're programmed to eat high-calorie foods. But the problem is we're no longer choosing real food, whole food from the earth. When I say high-calorie foods, I mean a banana, beans, sweet potato, things like that, not the pizza and the soda. So just say no. We're done with the talk. No, it's not that simple. These foods actually call our name, right? These foods are the foods that we crave. But when you think about these foods, they contain too much sugar, salt, and fat. They contain too many calories. They're not really giving us much in the way of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. We know these foods are not healthy. We know these foods are not going to reverse disease, but why do we keep eating them? Why can't we just say no? Well, it's this addictive combination that makes it so hard to fight against food cravings. This is the combination of fat, salt, and sugar. And when I say sugar, I really mean all the added sweeteners. That's the brown sugar, that's the raw sugar in the little brown pack, that's the agave, the honey, the maple syrup, all of the added sweeteners. These foods in combination makes us crave to the point it's almost impossible to resist. So this is why the Lay's potato chips, the McDonald's French fries and the Coke can be so appealing to us. And the food manufacturers know that, and they will actually add this combination of fat, salt, and sugar to the foods to make the foods even more addictive. There are hamburger places that put sugar in their hamburger meat. There are chips that will add sugar to make sure that it has the right combination, that you cannot get enough. You see this in our boxed cereals, our cereal bars, and all the things that tend to call our name, and that we tend to crave. So it makes it very hard to stop eating. Our bodies have different mechanisms that allows us to regulate our temperature. And we also have a mechanism within our body that allows us to regulate our hunger. There's a small part of our brain that actually keeps track of our energy balance. And when we taste certain foods, there's a reward center that's triggered. That was there for our ancestors so that when they found the honeycomb, they would receive a little alarm telling them, "Ooh, that's good. I feel an energy uptake after eating the honey and the honeycomb. Let me remember that and let me climb this hill again." Because that honeycomb actually had a lot of bang for the bite. So that reward center that allows us to regulate our energy intake and our hunger signals us when we're consuming something that has that boost in energy. But it goes back to, in our natural environment, that would have been the ripe fruit, the honey, and maybe the rare instant that we made a kill and we had some animal protein. We were meant to respond to that biologically, remember it, and crave and seek it out the next time. That ensured our survival as a species. What's out of balance is that we're still responding the same way biologically, as I keep saying, but now the foods we are being drawn to, the foods that almost call our name, is the buffalo, cauliflower, the pizza, that red velvet cake, the burger, the onion rings, all those things that some of us have learned to enjoy. These foods are called super stimuli. So the apple, the mango, the banana, the honeycomb that our ancestors used to respond to no longer affects us. Not many of us sit in our car going, "Ooh, I can't wait till I get home to finish that apple. I can't wait to get home, eat that mango." We may like a mango, we may like an apple, but most of us don't have an apple calling our name. Most of us are not waking up out of our sleep going, "Ooh, I have an apple downstairs. Let me go tip downstairs to get the apple." Why? Because our reward center in our brains have been hijacked. There's a better drug that gives us a bigger high, and that's the donut and the Starbucks coffee. That's the pizza and the soda, right? So the apple craving has been hijacked by something more powerful, something more impactful, like the donut, which is why you may be with your girlfriends going, "This weekend we're going to Applebee's." And you can tell the exact dish you want. You can almost taste it. You know how you are when you get a taste in your mind and you want that thing. You know your favorite restaurant and which one has the hold on you. You know that favorite snack when you've had a hard day's work and your boss got on your nerves, right? You know what you want when your boyfriend just broke up with you. It is not the carrot stick. You're gonna call your girlfriend and say, "Can you please come over with some ice cream?" You're gonna hang out with your boys, go to the game, and get the hot dog and the beer. So these foods that we call super stimuli grab us because of that combination of sugar, salt, and fat. These foods trigger our reward center and they actually make us feel better. So once again, I go back to our ancient ancestors and I remind you that now he's out of his element. He can no longer choose between the berries and the banana with ease because all of the fast food options are really gonna have a bigger impact on the reward center. And so many studies have demonstrated this. I'll give you a couple of examples. There's a study where they gave men as much food as they wanted to eat around the clock. They put them into a controlled setting. They had them stay overnight for several nights, and they allowed them to eat wherever they wanted. The average man consumed 4,500 calories in one night. Not even all day. This is one evening and night period, with some men consuming up to 7,000 calories in one night. That's the equivalent of 17 quarter pound hamburgers in one evening. There is something that has happened in our biology that's no longer turning the hunger switch off. So we're eating all of these calories, but we're still hungry, or we can still eat more. We're still craving. Because although we're consuming calories, I think because we're missing the nutrients, that hunger center is not being shut all the way off. And I'll get into that in just a second. And so I won't get into all of this, we don't have enough time, but just know that the food manufacturing companies know exactly how to create these perfect dishes. Some of the students, when I show this, they know exactly where this is from. I think this is from either Chili's or Applebee's. People go, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is. It's the lime something, 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 right? So we recognize these foods. This shows you how powerful the marketing is. Businesses I love to study, like McDonald's, they're just genius. McDonald's has the right amount of salt on their French fries to pair perfectly with their quarter pounder with cheese. And they have their Coca-Cola brought in special containers, special stainless steel containers, so that their formula is just perfect to balance the quarter pounder with cheese and the French fries. And then you add the apple pie, that crunch with the sweet, with the salt, and it's the perfect combination. And they spend millions of dollars and so many hours figuring out that perfect balance. Cinnabon is another one. Cinnabon has created their nice dessert so perfectly. It has to be a certain temperature and a certain mouthfeel. They want the Cinnabon to stay in the mouth so many seconds before it starts to dissolve. I mean, to get it down to the exact second is how you are going to be drawn to it over and over again. And they put the powdered sugar on after it's hot. There's a certain way that the Cinnabon has to be made and served. And then the smell is going to be piped up so you can smell it all through the mall, and you're going to be drawn to it. There's even some mall eateries that want to make sure they're near vents so the smell will carry. The movie popcorn is made to carry. The butter stuff they put on the popcorn is meant to carry the scent so that you can't watch the movie in peace without having some movie popcorn. So they do a lot of work, and we call that reinforcing. They're reinforcing the mouthfeel with the salt, with the sugar, with the temperature, with the smell, so that it will literally call your name. You could be home minding your business, and all of a sudden you'll go, you know what I have a taste for? I think I need to go to Applebee's. And you'll just drive mindlessly to Applebee's. I'm hoping after this talk, you will recognize what's happening. Oh, that's a super stimuli. Oh, that's reinforcing. Oh, that's why I can smell it. Oh, that's why the Auntie Anne's pretzel place is located where it is in the mall. Oh, you can start to see it now. And maybe once you can see it, you can just make a choice to be empowered and to be in the driver's seat so that they don't have a hold on you, but you're in control. So here's our recap. We're meant to like food and to enjoy it. We're hardwired to seek high calorie foods, but we're just not choosing foods from nature anymore, and that's the problem. And foods loaded with sugar, salt, and fat stimulates the brain's reward system, and they make us want more. So are we a food addict? Perhaps. These foods actually do work in the same pathways that drugs work. There's a researcher named Dr. Amin, and he actually studies brain images. His work is so fascinating. He can look at someone's chart and oh, I'm sorry, without looking at someone's chart, knowing nothing about their medical history, no information, he can look at their brain image and tell you if this person is schizophrenic, bipolar, or depressed. He could also tell you if the person is an addict. But what he cannot tell you is what type of addiction, because alcohol, cocaine, and food addiction all impact the same parts of our brains. And so we joke sometimes about sugar addictions, but it's real because it's going to wake up parts of the brain that allows us to feel better. These foods that have that special combination of sugar, salt, fat, those super stimuli, those reinforcing foods, actually make us feel happier momentarily. This is why if you're stressed or depressed, you will want to watch your favorite TV show, your favorite yummy food. And we all have our own addictions. Some people like chocolate. Some people like salt and carbs, like the French fries or the chips. Some people like ice cream. So we all have that thing that makes us feel soothed and better, at least temporarily. And research also shows these foods can actually reduce pain, not only physical pain, emotional pain, psychological pain. These foods can actually relieve our suffering, at least temporarily, which is why they are so addictive. So we go through our recaps again. And we ask ourselves, are we really undernourished? We have children who are not getting enough food to really get through their day. We're gaining weight. We're not performing well at work because we are having these sugar crashes. So as a result, we feel bad because we don't feel well. We've gained weight. We want to do better. So we start to diet. We restrict our calories. We control our portions. But then when we do that, the dopamine drops. Now we feel bad. We don't feel energetic. We may feel sluggish. We may feel irritable and grumpy because the dopamine and the serotonin, those happy hormones, are going to be decreased in our brain as we go through the diet process. The leptin drops. That's the hormone that controls hunger. So now you're hungry and you're irritable. And then hunger sets in. And so now we binge. Now we feel guilty. We punish ourselves and we promise we'll do better next Monday. We'll start all over again. And the cycle continues. So what's the solution? The solution really is to get the food right. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you followed my other classes, you know I talk a lot about the pillars to healthy eating. We want to eat whole food from the earth and mainly plants with lots and lots of color. Each color corresponds to a different set of nutrients that actually will feed your brain, your respiratory system, your digestive system, your reproductive system. So ask yourself, have I fed my brain today with those purple, black, and blue foods? Did I feed my ovary? My ovaries today will eat some orange, red foods. For women who are trying to balance their hormones, those white foods like cauliflower, mushrooms, garlic are going to be great for balancing hormones. You know, for men, did you feed your prostate today? Again, those orange and red foods are going to be great for prostate health. Did you clean your blood today? Did you detoxify today with those green foods? So the starting place really is whole foods from the earth, mainly plants with lots and lots of color. So we can either try to exercise the donut off, right? We could try to, burn off 500 extra calories a day, or we can make the shift and just eat healthier. When I start to really look at how much time I would need to spend on the treadmill, walking or running to reduce calories, it was really eye-opening. So you can do your own Google search around this. But for instance, 30 minutes on a treadmill at just a slow, normal speed will only burn about 30 calories. You could walk, 3 miles and burn 200 calories. We already said that a Snickers bar and a Coke is 500 calories. So you still have 300 more calories to burn. It's just not worth it to me to have to put in all of that work and burn such few calories. You want to work out because it's great for your body. It's a great part of your lifestyle, but not because you're trying to get rid of all of the excess food that you eat. And even when you work out at that rate, you're still not flooding your body with the nutrients that you need. So that's all easier said than done. I want you to eat whole foods from the earth, mainly plants with lots of color. But what do you do if you're still craving certain foods? We're here. This is where you want to start taking some notes. Here's how you turn the cravings off. Our stomach responds to three things. Stretch, I'm going to show you the first two together. Stretch and bulk. So if you're just dieting and you're eating a very small salad, just a little side plate, because you're starving yourself on this strict diet that you're on, your hunger switch that's in your stomach and communicates to your brain will stay completely on, full blast on, because the hunger switch, let's imagine that it's connected to a little scale, and the scale needs to actually have some weight on it. So in order to get the hunger switch to start to turn slowly towards the off position, you have to get some stretch and bulk into your stomach. And so you do that by eating things like cauliflower, sweet potato, baked potato, beans, maybe a large jumbo salad with salmon on top. You have to get some weight into your stomach for the scale to register and to start giving you credit for having consumed food. And then the hunger switch will start to turn more towards the off position. This concept is taken from the work of Dr. Joel Fuhrman. I love his work. Look at Dr. Joel Fuhrman. His last name is spelled Fuhrman. He also talks about the importance of calories, the right number and type of calories. So if you're skipping meals, say you get up and you're in a hurry, you don't eat breakfast, or maybe you grab a small coffee and donut, and then you get to work and you start getting to meetings back to back, and now you've skipped lunch. By the time 2 or 3 o'clock arrives, you are going to be starving. And the hunger switch is going to be sending alarms to your brain saying, eat, 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 eat. Because remember, we still have our ancient DNA. So your body will assume that you're starving. It won't know that you're busy and you're skipping meals. It will think that food is scarce out in your natural environment. And so the alarm to ensure our survival as a species will be so loud, telling our ancient ancestors to go find the honeycomb again, to go find the right fruit again. The reward center will tell them, you remember how it felt when you ate that? You remember when you found it the last time? Go find it again, right? But now, when that alarm goes off in our brain, we go, I think I want pizza. I want a bag of chips. We're no longer seeking out the honey and the right fruit because our natural food landscape has changed and it has us out of balance, making unnatural choices. But now that you know this, you know that in order for you to get into the driver's seat and get out ahead of your cravings, you must consume calories throughout the day. So you start the morning with water that helps you to break your fast and get rid of all of the toxins and metabolites that built up overnight as you slept. And you have a breakfast before 10 a.m. You get a plant-based breakfast into your body. Still cut oatmeal with fruit added, a jumbo smoothie, maybe leftovers of your turkey lentils chili. Yes, leftovers for breakfast. Beans for breakfast will help you ward off hunger and stabilize your blood sugar for the rest of the day. If you do that, You are now in control because you're eating before you crave. Now, I want you to have a late morning snack as well. Maybe this is where you have an apple or a banana because you're trying to stay satisfied and fulfilled. You don't want to wait until you're starving because you don't trust yourself to make a healthy choice. Willpower won't help with your cravings. So I want you to get out in front of the craving. And then you're going to repeat this at lunchtime. A healthy lunch filled with whole foods, mainly plants, and lots of color. Whole Kids talks a lot about having that salad or the vegetable soup before you have your lunch or dinner. Why do they recommend that? So you're getting in all of those vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients before you eat anything else. You're crowding out the unhealthy food. You're getting your nature's vitamins into your body first thing. This helps you to remain satisfied and satiated. This makes you empowered to make the healthy choices. If you eat that salad or that vegetable soup first, there's not a lot of room left for the chocolate cake at the end. Now, after you have this healthy, nourishing lunch, I want you to have a snack around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Because now you have to drive home from work, and I want you to be able to drive past those fast food restaurants and get back into your kitchen to prepare a meal from scratch. And you're going to repeat the same concept at dinner time. Whole, real foods from the earth, mainly plants with lots and lots of color. If you want a snack in the evening, some air popcorn, some fruit, something that's more healthy. But what I find is if you do this consistently, most of the time at dinner time, you're already feeling pretty satisfied. Your hunger is subsiding. Your cravings are at rest. You are now in control of your eating. Now, when you look at the slide here, I have calories, number, and type. So the number is getting your calories in throughout the day so that you're ahead of your cravings. You're eating in control, not because the alarm going off saying that you're starving, right? By getting that stretch and bulk in and the right number of calories in, the hunger switch is almost to the off position. The cravings have almost subsided. But now we got to look at the type of calories. If you're eating foods like pizza, I talked about my men who were in the research study and they were consuming 4,500 to 7,000 calories in the evening and they couldn't stop eating. This is because they're not getting the right type of calories in. They're not getting in the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. Because imagine that you have a whole factory happening inside your body. And while the calcium is there for it to work properly, it needs magnesium and phosphorus. If you get your iron from plants, that non-heme iron from beans and dried fruit, you need vitamin C as a catalyst. All these nutrients work together in tandem to be the building blocks of your organs, your cells, and your DNA. So if you have skipped some of these nutrients, the hunger switch is still going to send that signal, that alarm to your brain saying, hey, Shannon, I'm down here trying to finish this biological pathway, but I need some more magnesium. Can you send me some magnesium? But Shannon doesn't speak ancient caveman. What Shannon hears is, I have a taste for something. I think I want some chocolate. Maybe, Larry is hearing, hey, I need some calcium down here. Can you send me some more calcium? But what Larry hears is, I want some ice cream. So because we don't speak ancient caveman, right? Our DNA is still asking for these things, but we're interpreting it based on what we see in our natural everyday landscape. we're basing those cravings on what we would normally go to. And it's going to be that combination of sugar, salt, and fat. So if we can ignore the craving, ignore that call to eat the chocolate chip cookie, and just eat the almonds instead, unroasted, unsalted. If you could just eat the rest of your salad for lunch instead, just get a little small serving of that turkey lentil chili instead. You will see, if you do that in combination with stretch, bulk, calories throughout the day, that the hunger switch will turn all the way to the off position. I'm going to end with a quick story. So when I was first at global headquarters in Austin, Texas, I was on the healthy eating team. And Dr. Joel Furman, who I mentioned before, noticed that the healthy eating team had a daily ritual. It was literally a daily ritual. Headquarters is, on top of the store, one of our offices is, and we would go downstairs every day. And at that time, they had a vegan Big John's chocolate chip cookie. It was a huge cookie. And it was vegans. So we were making the argument that it's a vegan chocolate chip cookie. What harm could it be? And so we would get this jumbo cookie and we would divide it into 3 pieces and we would share it. One person would get coffee with everything in it. Another person would get a whole quart of tangerine juice. And I would get herbal tea. And we were doing this every single day. And at one point, Dr. Furman said to us, why are you doing that? And he said, I think I know why. Because you guys are working under these deadlines. You're trying to, get through this work quickly. And you're skipping lunch. Some of you may have even skipped breakfast. This is why at 3 o'clock, that alarm was going off. You're feeling a slump in your energy. You're feeling a little bit weary and bored. And you're getting these very intense cravings. Well, the tangerine juice and the chocolate chip cookie will give you that spike in sugar and trick your brain into thinking that it had been properly rewarded or properly nourished. So he challenged us, instead of getting the cookie, just instead get the bean chili or get a small salad and eat that instead. The other part of his challenge was, and I want you to try this as well, is every day at lunchtime, eat a jumbo salad that's larger than what you can finish. Pack it with beets, chickpeas, just all of the rainbow goodness, and get a salad that's so large you can't finish it. Why are you doing that? You're trying to fill up to the point that you're so full, you can't eat anything else. But because it's a huge jumbo salad, without the croutons, I have to say this, without the high calorie dressings, talking about a clean salad, lots of rainbow produce color, you're going to fill up on all those nutrients and very few calories. And you're going to be able to get into the driver's seat and out ahead of your cravings so that you can finally turn the hunger switch off. So here are the 3 things that allows you to be in control. You eat until you're full. You eat enough bulk so that that scale in your stomach registers 0. You eat throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, with some healthy plant-based snacks in between. And you make sure you're getting all of those nutrients in so that you can finally turn the hunger switch to the off position. I will stop there and now open it up for questions.
Okay, I hope people don't mind, but I'm going to actually start with a personal question. You actually answered one of my questions, which was replacement. My biggest struggle with soda. I always, whenever I had a bad day or I had a long day or something, I was always I'm gonna have a soda at dinner. And so I started slowly replacing that with mineral water, flavored mineral water. And now I just do regular mineral water. If I want the flavor, I add a squeeze of lime or something. But I love crunch and texture. And so, in salads, I love croutons and, the little chip things on the top. So if I want that sort of crunch, what can I add or replace that with that's not nuts?
Well, see, okay. So I want to go back to the soda real quick. So bravo, great job in making that transition. Some people can tolerate kombucha. If you like kombucha and your gut flora can tolerate it, that's another good way to get that fizz in. There's something about the fizz that can be very, satisfying. So kombucha is a way that some people can get that in. For the crunch, I was going to go straight to nuts and seeds. The other thing I do sometimes for crunch, I think I mentioned this when we talked about our oatmeals, I use pomegranate seeds. And so I don't, or maybe for my salad, sometimes what I'll do is I'll get the mixed greens and whatever else I want to put in my salad, like the chickpeas, maybe a little bit of avocado, tomato, but I may also chop up some red onion. Or I will buy, in our produce department, we sell bags of purple cabbage already sliced. There's all kinds of salad toppings that we sell in the produce department. It may be a blend of carrots, cauliflower, and broccoli that's already chopped. So I'll sprinkle that on top of my salad for some of that crunch. Maybe I add even more cucumbers sliced, maybe the baby cucumbers. But I try to find the crunch from produce. I love that you mentioned the little chips and the croutons that you put on your salad. I want everyone to think that through. No nutrients, and just fried fat that you're adding to your salad for no reason. So I'm always thinking about ways to get in what I want, like in terms of taste, mouthfeel, texture, while also getting in the nutrients. I want the biggest bang possible for every bite. How can I drive the calories down and boost the nutrients? So this is why, even with my oatmeal sometimes, I might not always do the seeds and the nuts in my oatmeal, because maybe I want more of a low calorie day. So that's when I'll put the berries and the pomegranate seeds in my oatmeal instead. So I'm always finding ways to make out these swaps. So I'm getting more of what I need to feed my organ cells and DNA. Oh, someone put in sprouts. Yes, I love sprouts. I love all of those salad toppings that we sell near the mixed greens and produce. Someone asked about air popcorn. Yes, I love air popcorn. Dr. Furman has a suggestion. If you want a little bit of something on your air popcorn, you can get a water bottle and maybe spray some olive oil on it. So you're not pouring it on there, just get a little bit. And then you can add herbs to it, garlic to it, nutritional yeast to your popcorn to make it more yummy.
Somebody said their mom's doctor suggested that during menopause, she should intermittent fast to counteract the effects of the hormonal changes and reduce belly fat. He suggested 24 hours once a week. Do you suggest fasting or intermittent fasting at all?
I do. I love intermittent fasting. I think it's great. You could do it once a week. You could do it every day. Some people, may skip, eating in the mornings in order to do that fasting. I'll just say, you have to know yourself if you're going to do that, right? I want to really make this caution. Doctors don't take classes in nutritional science. And sometimes they're giving you recommendations that are just singularly focused. I try to give you recommendations that will take care of everything. If you get the food right, if you're really eating whole foods from the earth, mainly plants with lots and lots of color, and you're going to maybe take a fish oil supplement, or if you eat fish, you're eating the fatty fish 2 or 3 times a week, you're eating your avocado, you're doing your flaxseed, you're doing your walnuts, it's going to take care of the hormonal issues naturally. I'm 55 years old almost. I didn't go through all the hot flashes and all those symptoms because my diet was regulated and clean. So if you can do the whole program that I lay out in all these classes, this is what I love about these recommendations. It takes care of the hormonal issues. It boosts the immune system to protect against COVID and certain cancers. It's going to help regulate the blood sugar. It's going to help you with heart health. It's going to help you with weight maintenance. It's a complete program. Now, yes, I do sometimes recommend intermittent fasting. I use that for myself, but I'm in control of my cravings. If you're going to intermittent fast and you're going to come off of that, eating a burger or pizza, you kind of undid the benefits of it. So if you're going to do fasting, make sure that you are disciplined. And when you come off of it, you go right back to whole foods from the earth, mainly plants with lots and lots of color. If you're going to skip eating until noon and you're going to be out of control at that point and you cannot control your cravings, then intermittent fasting is, you're not ready for it yet. So this is the starting place. I always say this is the foundation and the starting place, no matter which condition you're trying to address. Once you can do this consistently, then you can add in other things. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it did to me at least. We had a really good one come in that I'm curious about too. So thank you for asking this. Do you have any tips for snacks full of protein? So if I want to get a protein-filled snack.
For me, when I want to boost in protein, I just do a protein powder, right? For me, I don't eat meat. So I like a clean protein powder that's whole foods, lots of plants. Vega has a good one. Sun Warrior has a great one. Garden of Life, Jarrow. These are brands that we sell in some of our stores. You can make just a protein shake with plain water, or you can add fruit, veggies to it. But the reason I mention, like, especially Garden of Life and Vega, they're full meal replacers in a powder. It's your full meal. So great way to boost your protein. If you eat meat, have a little bit more of your turkey lentil chili. Have a little piece of salmon on your salad if you eat meat. If you want a little side of beans. I love my little bowls. Last night what I had was a bowl with curry, pinto beans, sweet potato, a little bit of brown rice, and kale and mushrooms. So that was my bowl. And maybe I may want more protein, so I'll double up on the beans. So basically your protein is going to be your animal products, maybe a boiled egg every now and then, so you don't get in so much cholesterol, protein powder, beans. Those are really the choices. You can add hemp seeds to your smoothie. Someone talked about chia seed pudding. Excellent idea. A chia seed pudding, very easy to make. You Google how to make it. You can do it overnight. Be ready for it in the morning. You can add 2 or 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds to your oatmeal, to your salad, to your soup. So your nut seeds, your beans, your protein powders. Someone asked about nightshades. I want to mention that one. Avoiding like your mushrooms, your tomatoes, your gluten. Again, that could be next level. I like to start here with whole foods, start here for most people, because I think a lot of people struggle just with doing this. We struggle just to not eat the pizza. We struggle with just to eat enough produce. We struggle with just to get enough water in. So I want us to start with a good foundation. Then we branch off to intermittent fasting. Then we can branch off to talk about nightshades. So if you can avoid the nightshades and it's beneficial to you and you're still getting enough produce and other sources, go for it. Some people do have issues with some of the nightshades. That could be a real thing. But for most people, this is the starting place, and you get more refined and nuanced as you go. It's like you start with your training wheels, and then you move on to riding a whole motorcycle.
One last question that I saw come in. And then quinoa was also, I guess, suggested for protein.
So I want to say something about quinoa and protein. I don't recommend quinoa for protein because and that's another class I do. I get really specific around macronutrient composition. Quinoa contains too much carbohydrate for me, and so I'm not getting enough protein for the carbohydrate load. Now, if you don't have weight issues, if you do not have any weight issues, you're thin and trim, you can do quinoa for protein. If you're trying to lose 10 pounds or more, I would not use quinoa for protein because of the carbohydrates. It's going to throw off your macronutrient composition. And this is when we start getting really into the food science and getting really specific. So there's things we read online, there's things you hear about kind of loosely, but I'm a nutrition scientist and I like to get the food just exact. So no weight issues, quinoa is fine. Any weight issues, we're gonna pull back on the carbohydrate and increase the protein to get that right balance. So even though I mentioned beans for protein, and yes, beans are also a carb, if you're gonna do quinoa and or beans for protein, then you're gonna do the quinoa with no other carbohydrate, no other starch. If you're gonna do beans for your protein and you have weight issues, beans by themselves, no other starch. So you're not doing beans and quinoa. You're not doing beans and brown rice. You're gonna do beans and greens. You can do quinoa and greens. If you're trying to get your protein from carbohydrates while lowering your weight. I hope that makes sense. Okay, last question, David.
Yeah, so there was a question and then a kind of like separate question also. But can you leave us with a good calorie count for a snack?
Woo, okay, so I would say for men, you probably want to consume, I'm gonna answer it a different way. For men who are sedentary, you're working in an office, you're not running marathons, right? You're not cycling every day. You're just an average guy. I would say you want to consume probably no more than 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. And to me, that's the upper limit. For women, you want to consume no more than probably 17 to 2,000 calories a day. You want to know your exact calorie count? Your doctor can calculate that for you. There's even some places online where you can do a rough count yourself. You can use an app like MyFitnessPal, or I love Lose It, to get a rough number. And there's other online where you can type in your age, your height, and get a number. For me, I've done mine. I have to stay around 1,400 calories a day, or I'll start gaining weight. It's very hard to do, so sometimes I start gaining weight. And so once you know how many calories you need per day to maintain your weight, and you can even do the calculation to lose weight. Once you have your personal number, then you can divide that throughout the day for your meals and your snacks. But if I had to give a rough justice for snacks, no more than 200 calories. If I had to do like a rough number, that's why I said the apple, the banana, the small pomegranate seeds. These are small numbers so that you can really fill up on your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that helps you to get out ahead of those cravings. But to really know, make sure you know for sure what your basal metabolic rate is and how many calories you need to maintain your existing weight and how many you would need to lose weight. And then you can divide them out throughout the day. Or you can use a MyFitnessPal or app like Lose It or Chronometer, where you log in everything you eat throughout the day. You log in all your steps and your physical activity, your water, everything. And it tells you if you were under or over. I use Lose It a lot to keep me honest. So maybe the app like that, some of them are free, will help you to kind of gauge yourself and to be honest with yourself. We want to be accountable to ourselves. We want to have a clear picture so that we can bring our lives back into balance. If I did not answer your question, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Yes, Nona just did a great job of answering a final question of how do we sign up for those other classes you teach. You can sign up for her October class coming up on our team member resources page. We shared that in the chat. You can also reach Dr. Akua Woolbright directly at akua.woolbright@wholefoods.com. And you can also visit her website, akuawoolbright.com.
Thank you guys for coming. There's a lot of articles on my website and some recipes. So please go to akuawoolbright.com and read some articles. if you want more information, and always email me. I'm here to serve you. I'm your nutritionist. So make sure you use me and reach out with questions you have for yourselves and your family. And I hope to see you back at the next class.